In this lesson, we're going to continue looking at units of measurement, whereas the last lesson we focused on length and time and mass and capacity and stuff. We're going to be looking at area and volume in this one. Now, the best way I've found to introduce how to convert between different area units is to have a look at the actual principles behind it. So here we've got a couple of squares, and essentially the squares are the same thing. So this one here is 1 meter by 1 meter. And we know that there's 100 centimeters in a meter, so this square here being 100 centimeters by 100 centimeters is technically the same thing. It's just written in different units. However, when we work out the area of this 1 meter square, it only works out to be 1 times 1, which gets you 1 meter square. This one over here, where the side lengths are 100 centimeters, so same thing, just a different unit, it turns into being 100 times 100 for the area of that square, which is actually 10,000 centimeters squared. So from that little example, we can see that 1 meter squared is actually equal to 10,000 centimeters squared. And if we're going the other way, 1 centimeter squared is you need to divide by 10,000. So we're starting to deal with some very large numbers when we're coming into area. And I've just got another little example here to illustrate that point. So we've got 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter, and the area of that is 1 centimeter squared. It's just 1 times 1 for the square. 1 centimeter is equal to 10 millimeters. So the area of this square here, same thing, just different units, is actually 100 millimeters squared. So now we can see that 1 centimeter squared equals 100 millimeters squared. So the numbers are getting quite large. What I put together, and something that might be worth pausing the video to write down, is a little table here with the conversions there. So when we're converting from kilometers to meters, a meter is 1,000 kilometers, so when we're talking about these little squares, the area of that is actually 1,000 times 1,000, which gets you your million units there. And we looked at meters to centimeters and centimeters to millimeters. So pause the video now and get a copy of that down. Okay, in the previous lesson we had a look at King Henry's daughter makes delicious chocolate muffins as a little way to remember how to deal with these conversions. So we're going to bring it in, and we're going to use the same thing. So the K stands for kilometers, M stands for meters, C for centimeters, and M for millimeters. However, now we're going to be talking about units of area. So there's square centimeters, square meters, square kilometers, and square millimeters. And the really neat thing about this is, remember how we times by 10 every time we jump from one word to the next? Well, in area, you times it by 10 squared. And because area is unit squared, it's really easy to remember. Area, you square things, so you've got to square the 10 when you make the jump. So this little thing here helps us work it out. So going from square kilometers to square meters, 10 squared is actually 100, so it's times 100, so that's 2 zeros, and another one for 4 zeros, and another one for 6 zeros. And if we have a look back here, area is 6 zeros, converting between kilometers and meters, so it's times a million. So this thing works in the same way. And for those who find it easier to remember this one, then go for it. I find it's pretty cool because of the 10 squared matching the whole thing about area being a unit squared. So we'll have a look at a few examples for this one. Now we're converting 10 kilometers squared to meters squared. So again, sort of the same thing. We're going from kilometers, 1, 2, 3 jump, which is actually 6 zeros. So we need to times by a million. Times our 10 kilometers squared by a million, which gives us 10 million meters squared. So you can see that this conversion is getting quite large very quickly, and compared to units of length. Alright, so converting 12 centimeters squared to millimeters squared. Centimeters here to millimeters, we're only making the one jump, which means we only need to move the decimal place 2 places, or times by 100. So 12 times 100 gives us 1200 millimeters squared. This one here, 6,724,000 millimeters squared, and we're converting it to meters. So we're going from a small measurement to a large one, which means our number is going to get smaller. And having a look at what's required, we're going from millimeters, so that's 2 zeros, 4 zeros, 6 zeros to get to the meters, which means that we are dividing by 6 zeros, or 1 million. and that takes our decimal point back 6 places. So it takes it back 3 to skip all those, and another 3 to get in between the 6 and the 7 there. We don't need to write the zeros on the end of a decimal. We just need the 6.7424 meters squared. Okay, this last example here, 93,100 meters squared, and we're converting it to kilometers squared. So again, we're going from a smaller unit to a larger unit, which means we're going to divide. And from meters squared to kilometers squared is 2 zeros, 4 zeros, 6 zeros. So we need to divide by 1 million again. Now the decimal point goes back 6 places, so it goes back 3. It goes back 2 to get in front of the 9, and we need to put the 0 in front of the 9 there to hold that place and say that the number is actually really, really small. And that's all the difference is. It's just we're dealing with really, really large numbers now. Just to finish up, similarly with volume, I'm going to use the same example, and volume is units cubed, so meters cubed, centimeters cubed, and stuff like that, which means that every jump we times it by 10 cubed. So every jump we times it by 3 zeros. The same going back the other way. Every jump we divide by 10 to the power of 3 because it's volume and units cubed. So we're dividing by 1,000 every jump. And I'll just bring this in so that we know what letter stands for what. I'm not going to do any examples on this one. It's the same thing as area, except we're dealing with a lot bigger numbers again because every jump is worth 1,000. So when we're converting from cubic kilometers to cubic meters, it's times 1,000, times a million, times 1,000 million. So that's getting quite large, and we don't really need to deal with that. We already know how to do it, so we're going to just leave it at that. All right, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in class.